And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the DoDcast Postgame Show. I'm your host, District on Deck co-editor Ricky Keeler. And remember all that bad stuff we were saying about Ryan Zimmerman last night? Something tells me Ryan Zimmerman listened to the DoDcast or read the column by my other co-editor, Ron Juckett, this morning and took it to heart because he had a huge game today. Goes 4 for 4, 5 RBIs, 2 home runs, triple shy of the cycle, makes a nice play in the field. Everything went wrong last night and everything went right tonight. Sometimes you just have those nights as a hitter. We kind of talked about that yesterday, where not everything that's going wrong is his fault, and he delivers in a big way, and Gio Gonzalez steps up with another good outing, and it makes you wonder where he stands come postseason time, because I think he deserves a much bigger role this October. So the Nats get a nice win. We want to hear from you, of course. Log on here to the chat here on the YouTube page, or tweet me at District on Deck or at Rickinator555. Seth is here. What's up, Seth? Let's take a look at the totals, and then we'll dive into the particulars. The Marlins, 1 run on 8 hits, no errors. They did not have an extra base hit tonight, so good stuff by the Nats pitching staff. As for the Nats offense, well, they do what they usually do, and that's put up a double-digit game. 10 runs, 14 hits, no errors. Gio Gonzalez gets the win, his 10th of the season. 7 innings, 1 run, 7 hits. He struck out 6 on 103 pitches, 69 strikes. And Adam Conley took the loss for the Marlins. He drops to 4 and 5. 5 innings, 5 runs, 11 hits, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks, 94 pitches, 68 strikes. And the Marlins bullpen of Cervenka and Guerra could not find the plate at some point. I mean, Zimmerman had a chance at a cycle and got walked on 4 pitches. Ellington threw a 1-2-3-8. That was really the only good thing the Marlins bullpen had tonight. So we'll take your Gio's not here. So okay, so that's here. But if you anybody want to come in, ask some questions. We received all your tweets, and Raj received all your tweets about Ryan Zimmerman. So feel free to join in if you would like. And of course, I think the night starts and ends at Ryan Zimmerman. Again, there was some concern. I mean, when you're hitting sub 200 since the All-Star break, the power's been there. But there's a lot of moving parts to his swing, as Dan Coco's talked about, as Dusty Baker's talked about, and you're going to go through slumps. Let me clarify something we talked about last night, in case you're new to the show and you read the article today. We're not saying Ryan Zimmerman's going to stink all season long, okay? What we're saying is you got a huge lead, and you got Adam Lynn playing first base. They can do that. My case would be when everybody comes back, you give Ryan Zimmerman time off. I just think it wasn't this particular time you do that. But Zimmerman delivered in a big way. Took an 0-2 pitch in the second inning and drove it over the wall in left field to make it a 1-0 game. Has the double in the third inning to make it 3-0. The RBI single in the fifth up the middle made it 4-1. And then the solo shot, 2-run shot, to right field in the seventh, make it 10-1. Everybody's rooting for a triple there, and he gets a homer. So not exactly the worst in the world when you go 4 for 4. And this is not an uncommon thing for the Nationals to have nights like this. ESPN Stats and Info tweeted during the game, Zimmerman is the 3rd Nats player this year with 4 hits, 4 runs, 4 RBIs in the game. Everybody else has done it a combined 5 times. So the Nats have 3 of those, and everybody else has 5. That's how insane this offense can be at times. You had a night on offense where everybody got on base. 2 guys didn't get hits. Anthony Rendon went 0 for 4. Strange night for him, but he did draw a walk. And Matt Wieters 0 for 3. He had 2 walks. Although Rendon, one of them was intentional. The Marlins walked a lot of people intentionally. 3 of them tonight. And Wilmer Defoe got intentionally walked twice. Gio nearly made him pay at one point and hit a ball to left field, and Ozuna made a great play on it. Would have scored at least 2, maybe even 3. But Gio was doing it all offensively. And I think it just starts and begins with Zimmerman, as we talked about. He now has over 80 RBIs this year. Bryce Harper is at 86 RBIs. He drives in a pair tonight, 2 for 4. How about Adrian Sanchez? I mean, Daniel Murphy is out with the hip injury. Dusty Baker said before the game that he hopes to play tomorrow. But Sanchez is 7 for 9 in his last 2 games. And he's red hot at the plate. He's doing everything right. He's getting the singles, getting doubles into the gap. He's bunting correctly, moving guys over. Small ball is. They did it again tonight in the 3rd inning. Brian Goodwin led off with a double. Sanchez gets the bunt down. Harper gets a base hit. And the Nationals get a run on the board. That's how they're going to do it in October, as we always talked about, is if you can't get the home runs going, or the kabooms going, as we like to call them here, then you got to get the sack bunts down. You got to drive in runs, and that's other ways you can do it. So I like what Ryan Zimmerman at least is doing in that regard. He's been great. I think top of the lineup has been solid. And Howie Kendrick as well. We can't forget him. 3 hits tonight, 3 RBIs. His big hits came with the RBI double in the 5th down left field line, the 3-0 pitch, and then the big bases loaded 2-run single to left in the following inning. Kendrick's been great for the Nationals. They needed that depth piece, and giving up Mackenzie Mills, you can make the argument that Mills has been one of the better pitchers in the minor leagues this year, but you got to help the major league club. I think that's the most important thing, and Kendrick's done an excellent job this year, at least in the short time he's been here, and he's going to get every chance to play, whether it's in left field. Maybe he gets a chance to play second at some point. We talked about it. I wrote earlier this week that Jorge Castillo of the Washington Post tweeted that he was taking grounders at third. Maybe he plays there. There are so many spots you can play Howie Kendrick that I think he's going to be a great addition. He's a professional hitter. He got behind 0-2 in the count in the 6th inning and did what he does, and that's just get the ball through a hole and into the outfield. I mean, that's how valuable he is to his lineup, and you can plug him anywhere. You can hit him lead off, you can hit him second, you can hit him toward the bottom of the order like Dusty did tonight, and it pays off. And it pays off in a big way for the Nationals. They just continue to have these consistent performances. Zimmerman saw 27 pitches in 5 at-bats tonight. Matt Wieters saw 25 in 5 at-bats, despite going 0 for 3. Wilmer Defoe and Brian Goodwin saw 21 pitches total. So those are your 4 guys. So over 20, they went 5 for 11 with men in scoring position. Only 1 double play tonight, so that was a plus after last night. And yep, we forgot to mention, of course, congratulations to Ryan Zimmerman, who passed Tim Wallach on the all-time Expos Nationals RBI list. Can't forget that. Zimmerman's breaking a lot of records this month, and he deserves it. He's the face of the Nationals franchise. He's going to be that way for as long as he's here. And he deserves all the recognition he's getting this year. I mean, he's the favorite for comeback player of the year in the National League. There's no question about it. It's just that with 26 home runs, he's tied for the second most in his career. He's doing a lot of things right this year. That's going to be a lot of fun. And Seth, I agree with you. I can't wait for the Astros series either. Nats go to Houston near the end of the month, and I think that'll be an exciting series too. Potential World Series matchup. We'll try to get an Astros guest for that too, because that's a huge series, and we want to at least talk about where Houston is, because the Nats don't see them very often. So that'll be a fun matchup as well. But we had a couple weeks until we get to that point. As for Gio Gonzalez, just more consistency tonight. He did have some trouble in the 4th inning, gave up 3 singles, including 1 to Ichiro Suzuki, who had 3 hits tonight. And talking about the Marlins real quick, the way Ichiro gets base hits at his age, the way he's still a productive player. He's still starting at some point for the Marlins because Christian Yelich got the night off against a left-hander. But Ichiro has been he's still hitting 240 at his age. And 3 for 4. He had a good night at the plate. Tyler Moore had 2 hits tonight. But again, all singles for the Marlins. And Gio was just in a group. 6 strikeouts, 1 run, 7 hits, as we mentioned. When the Marlins got hitters on, Gio prevented them from scoring. Marlins were 1 for 7 with men in scoring position tonight. And that's been Gio's specialty this year. When people get on base, he doesn't lose confidence. And that's a complete departure from last year, where every time people got on base, you worried Gio would give up a 3-4 run inning or wouldn't have that shutdown inning. Gio's the opposite of that this year. And when Steven Strasburg comes back, and we do have news on Steven Strasburg we'll get to in a little bit, right now, and we're still a few weeks away from October, when the Nationals set their playoff rotation, Gio should pitch Game 2. Even with a healthy Steven Strasburg, Gio Gonzalez should pitch Game 2. He's earned that right. He's that lefty pitcher that I think a lot of teams can have trouble with, and he's been consistent all season long. I think he's far removed from that guy, Dusty Baker, to take out in the 5th inning last year in L.A. He is a much different pitcher. He's using his fastball well, locating it at the corners, using the changeup well, the breaking ball. Sometimes he gets a little bit happy with the curveball, but I like the way he's able to use those pitches to his advantage. He had a total of 69 strikes tonight out of 103, so a pretty good number. And again, he's been Mr. Consistency all season. You can't really think of a time where he's gone out there and been terrible. I'm sure he's had a couple of those, but his ERA is at 2.59. I know the whip will say different, that not the whip, his FIP numbers, that they're a little bit high, but coming into tonight, he had a 1.86 ERA and 4 starts since the break. He had a 2.14 ERA and 6 starts in July, with opponents hitting 163. They're hitting 150 since the break. Outside of Scherzer, he's been one of the top 5 to 10 pitchers in the National League since the break, and you can make the argument with numbers. You may not think, oh, Gio Gonzalez, he's not this great pitcher, but this year he has been. He should have 14, 15 wins this year. The bullpen blew a lot of the games that he pitched. But he has been rock solid for this team. And if Zimmerman wasn't the odds-on favorite for comeback player of the year, Gio would be right up there. He consistently goes 100 pitches. He's third in the league in innings pitched, over 149 right now. His option's going to vest, it looks like, for next year. He's about 30 innings away from that. He is second in walks, but I love the fact he didn't have a walk tonight. First time that's happened since June 15th against the Mets. He's not a high strikeout guy, but he does a nice job of mixing up the counts, not giving up the big base hits. Remember, he hasn't given up a home run in 4 out of his last 7 outings, so he's done a nice job of keeping the ball in the ballpark, getting the soft contact, and that's been big for his game. I also like Joe Blanton. Had a 2 strikeouts, scoreless inning, 1-2-3, 11 pitches, 10 strikes. Matt Grace finished the game. And any night you can avoid using Brandon Kinsler, Ryan Madsen, and Sean Doolittle in a big lead, you take it. You don't want to have a situation where one reliever comes in, gives up 4 runs, and now you have to use one of the big 3. Now you have the big 3 for Tanner Roark tomorrow and opportunity to win the series. And that's the most important thing as well. And it's amazing, we get to this point with especially Washington and LA, and I think Houston too. And Seth brings up a good point in the chat that the magic number is now down to 37. We're at August 9th, and we're already talking magic number. I mean, that's maybe just how bad the NL East has been this year. The NL West has not been bad. Just the Dodgers are on a historic pace, and Houston has been insanely good in the AL West, although you got the Angels and Mariners fighting for a playoff spot, but they're not where the Astros are, especially. So, but there's still close races across the league, but those 3 races are very lopsided. Those could be done. Nats could be clinching in a month from now. I would not be surprised by that. And then really they can't get the 1 seed in all likelihood. So they're going to be trying to hold off whoever wins the Central for that home field in the first round. And the Central right now is a dogfight between Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Louis. Don't discount the Cardinals. They're on a nice run themselves. Also tonight, as I mentioned, Goodwin picked up another double. He's got 21 and 3 doubles in his last 2 games. Bryce Harper, 6 RBIs in his last 5. He's now up to 86, furthering his case for a potential second MVP this year. I love what Sanchez is doing, and the offense just continues to find ways to succeed. And while they got the 2 home runs from Zimmerman, it's been all small ball. They're getting the base hits, and that's important too. So I love what the offense has done today. Now, the big injury news, at least regarding Steven Strasburg, which we'll get into. He did throw a simulated game earlier today. Dusty Baker talked about how he had to do that as a next step. I know Mike Rizzo was on local radio today, and he talked about his status, but Strasburg threw 57 pitches, and it appears that his next step will be a rehab assignment, and that's great news. You'll see if it's maybe 1 to 2 rehab games, and then he'll be back in the rotation if everything goes right. Jason Worth was in the simulated game taking at-bats against Strasburg. He sounds like he's about a week or 2 away from rehab games, and that's important too. So it looks like Worth is close to at least getting on the track to coming back, and Strasburg the same. The Nationals have to figure out if A.J. Cole, which apparently he had an injury issue last night that we didn't get a chance to talk about. I mean, they're going to have to figure out a way to get through that start, I think, a couple more weeks. I mean, you would hope Strasburg comes back at the end of the month, and then you have 1 month to get everything going for October with him. Because he's got to be healthy for this team to do anything in October. As great as Gio's been, as great as Scherzer's been, you need that third excellent pitcher, and Strasburg can provide that when he's on the mound. So let's take a look around the league and see what's been going on in terms of the National League East. We had a big trade happen just a little while ago. Jay Bruce going to the Cleveland Indians for pitcher Ryder Ryan. So that's something to keep an eye on. Bruce is, I think, going to provide great offense for the Indians. Michael Brantley's on the disabled list, and Mets get back a pitching prospect, so no surprise there. Bruce gets $5 million, just about that, and the Indians are going to pay all that. So that's a great deal for the Indians in that regard. As for the Mets, they took on the Rangers this afternoon in the final game of a mini-series and lost 5-1. Rafael Montero was terrible in this game. 3 innings, 4 runs, 5 hits, 5 Ks, and 3 walks, and a good outing for Martin Perez. Goes 8 innings, 1 run, 3 hits. He strikes out 5. Joey Gallo, a 2-run shot, his 32nd of the season. The other division game in progress right now, Phillies taking on Atlanta. That game 3-2, Philadelphia in the bottom of the 9th inning. Braves have the tying run on base. So they'll try to rally back in that one to get the victory. Dansby Swanson came back up today off the disabled list. Not disabled list. He came off a AAA. Yohan Camargo on the disabled list. So that's what's been going on, at least with the Phillies. So they have the lead there. We'll see if they hang on. Other scores around the league in terms of playoff importance. The Cubs lost 3-1 to the Giants, and Wilson Contreras, who was red hot in that series against the Nats last weekend, he's going on the disabled list, it looks like. So that's a big injury for the Cubs. Milwaukee is down 4-0 with bases loaded. Minnesota has bases loaded. So the Brewers, they've had chances to get back in this division race. And while they're only a game and a half back, they've had a couple, they just not played well against Minnesota at all. St. Louis trails 5-4 against the Royals. That game in the bottom of the 6th. So the Cardinals, they've been surging. Keep an eye on St. Louis. They're starting to get hot at the plate, getting good performances on the mound. Not from Mike Leake tonight, but you still have Carlos Martinez. You still have Adam Wainwright. Good things can happen. The Dodgers, of course, they lost last night, believe it or not. But they lead 1-0 over the Diamondbacks in the 3rd. Cody Bellinger, a solo shot, his 33rd of the year. Colorado beat Cleveland in extra innings today, so the Rockies get a nice win on the road. I know Ron's happy because the Red Sox beat the Rays 8-2. Mick Porcello, a good outing there. We'll throw one more out there. That Justin Verlander had a dominant outing tonight for the Detroit Tigers against the Pirates, as Seth mentions. Verlander in the start, as I'll get the numbers up. He had a no-hitter into the 6th inning at one point. 8 innings, 1 hit, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks. And the big question Seth wants to know, should a team trade for him? He did clear waivers. Maybe the Nats. I don't see it, Seth. I think there's just too much money involved in Verlander. The team that should do it, if there is a team this year, is the Astros. They need another starting pitcher to go with Keuchel and McCullers. McCullers on the DL. So they need that second dominant pitcher with Keuchel. And the Astros have a team that can win the pennant this year. So if there's any team that they can maybe try to get Detroit to eat some of that money, it would be the Astros. But I'm looking more of a winter deal for Verlander, if anything. I just don't see the Nats making a deal. And yes, Aaron Judge did strike out 26 games in a row, but the Yankees do lead. We'll see if they hang on against Toronto. That game 8-5 in the top of the 9th. So the Yankees at least trying to bounce back, even though Clint Frazier was scratched tonight and CC Sabathia got hurt last night. Let's take a look around the minor leagues and see what's going on. Syracuse in AAA lost to Toledo 7-3. The Chiefs got a 5-for-5 night from Neftali Soto. You talk about a guy who won International League Hitter of the Week this past week. He's hitting .316, 29 RBIs. Started the year at Harrisburg. He's continued that success over to the Chiefs. Jacob Turner got the start, went 5 innings, gave up 4 runs on 8 hits. He walked 4 and struck out 4 on almost 110 pitches. So rough night for Turner as the Chiefs take the loss. Tougher night for Harrisburg. They got blown out by Bowie 14-2. The Senators did score 2 runs in the second on home runs by Roddy Reed and Drew Ward. Michael Taylor 0-for-4 tonight. He's now 1-for-10 with a home run in 2 games with Harrisburg on his rehab assignment. Taylor Hill went 4 1/3, gave up 7 runs on 8 hits, walked 3 and struck out 1. Not a good performance for him. Down in Potomac, the Peanuts beat Myrtle Beach 3-2. Sterling Sharp gets his first win with the Peanuts. 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits. He struck out 6. And the save goes to Gilberto Mendez, 2 innings of 1 hit ball. Rhett Weissman alone 2 RBIs in this game. He had a triple as well. So he's up to 50 RBIs on the season for the Peanuts, who go to 52 and 62. Hagerstown, who had the doubleheader sweep of Delmarva last night, they get a late 8th inning home run from Toledo Augustine, and they beat Delmarva 3-2. Jake Knoll, the 2-run shot in the 4th, his 15th of the season. He's at 64 RBIs. And a good outing from Brigham Hill. 5 1/3, 2 runs, 7 hits. He struck out 6 and walked 2. Carlos Pena, who struck out 8 in 3 2/3 innings of relief, he gets the win, his 6th of the year. And finally, at least in the big-time affiliates. Auburn lost to Connecticut 6-4. Carter Keegan did hit a solo shot in the ninth as part of his rehab assignment. He went 1 for 5. Austin Guybor hit 2 hits out of the leadoff spot, only multi-hit night for him. RBIs for Armand Upshaw and Chance Shepard. But Kyle Johnston takes the loss, 4 1/3, 4 runs, 7 hits. He struck out 2 and he walked 4. And the GCL Nats, who've been really good this year, they could make the playoffs in that league. They lost to the Astros 4-0. Although 2 hits from left fielder Justin Connell, even though the team only had 4 hits as a team. And Tomas Alastre, 5 innings, 3 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, and he walked 4. So that's your look around the Nats minor leagues tonight. Of course, we'll have more tomorrow. And yes, Seth says Norfolk did win tonight. So there's your Norfolk Tides update. And the reason Seth says the reason he wants to realize he doesn't trust Edwin Jackson. Well, I would think about it, Seth, like this. Edwin Jackson's probably not pitching in the getting a start in October. If anything, he's pitching right now for an opportunity to be like your long man or your emergency guy out of the bullpen, because your 4 starters, at least right now, look to be Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, Gio Gonzalez, and Tanner Roark, and everybody healthy. I mean, you don't need 4 starters until the NLCS. You can go with 3 if necessary in the divisional round. But once Strasburg comes back, you got Jackson going to compete for a bullpen spot. And he's actually been, outside of a bad inning against Chicago in the first and a bad inning against Milwaukee, I think he's been pretty good. I mean, he is a 5 starter. He's not a guy who's going to go out there and be dominant every night. He just has to go out there and keep your offense in the game. The same thing, that's why the expectations I had for Eric Fetty were not as high as a lot of people, because I'm not expecting Fetty to go out there and strike out 10. I'm expecting him to go out there and just be consistent. Keep the offense in the ballgame. You don't want to have that crooked inning like Jackson had on Saturday, but he battled through and got you through 5. I think that's the most important thing as well. So Jackson, I like him as a veteran presence at the back end, but I don't think he's going to pitch big innings in the playoffs. If he does, the Nats are in trouble, and they would have more injuries than they do right now. So I'm not saying Verlander would be nice. I just don't think they're going to make that deal. They don't have the money and the resources to do that. And that would require giving up your top prospects. And again, I don't think the Nationals want to do that at this time. Let me look at tomorrow's pitching matchup. Last game of this series, so the Nats will try to win 3 out of 4. Game is at 7:05 Eastern. That will be on Masson. Tanner Roark takes the ball for the Nats, 9-7 with a 4.82 ERA against Dan Straley for Miami. Straley 7-8 with a 3.77. I will be with you for that one, so I will finish up the Marlins series. Then Ron will be back on Friday when the Nats start a 3-game set against the Giants, who are one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the league. Roark coming off a good outing against the Cubs, 6 1/3, 2 runs, 5 hits, 4 strikeouts, and 3 walks on Friday. You can make the case Dusty left Roark in a little bit too long in that outing, but at the same time, he has come back since the break and been a different pitcher. He did have a couple of rough moments in that Colorado start, but in 4 starts since the break, he's given up a total of 8 runs. So that's exactly what you're looking for, 4 straight 100-pitch outings for him. Now, against Miami this season, he is 1-0 in 2 starts, but the ERA is over 8. And the Marlins have hit .281 against him, so that's a pretty crooked number. And that one start on April 5th, he went 6 innings, gave up 2 runs, and then on June 19th, he gave up 6 runs and 2 2/3. Remember, couldn't get out of the 3rd inning, and everybody was wondering what was wrong with him at the time. So it depends on which Tanner Roark shows up, but he has been much more consistent over the past few weeks. I don't know if he's returned to that guy that you can trust like last year, or he was super consistent. But he's getting on that right track, and that's the important thing. You want to get a guy on a consistent rhythm going into the postseason, and Tanner Roark still has a few more starts to do that. But since the break, he has looked like a much different pitcher. As for Dan Straley, arguably the best pitcher the Marlins have left in their rotation. They've had a lot of injuries. Edinson Volquez, of course, out for the rest of the season. Last start against the Braves, Straley went 5 2/3, gave 2 runs on 5 hits. He struck out 7 in a loss. Straley has not won since July 7th against the Giants. That's over a month. But he did put up a decent outing against Atlanta. And since the All-Star break, he is 0-4, 5.61 ERA, and opponents are hitting a crazy 3.55. He also is bad away from Marlins Park, the ERA of 4.76 in 11 starts, opposed to 2.84 at Marlins Park, which is an extremely pitcher-friendly ballpark. As for some of the numbers to watch, Howie Kendrick, 6 for 20 with an RBI. Matt Wieters has insane numbers, 5 for 6, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. We'll see if Wieters gets to start here, or does Dusty go with Lobatone for Roark. I would think Wieters is going to play. Harper, 1 for 8 with an RBI. Zimmerman has 1 hit, and that 1 hit's a home run. So maybe Zimmerman tacks on. Rendon has a home run as well. So that's a decent numbers against Straley. So I would think Roark will go out there, put up a good performance. And the Nats, I think, have the edge and can take 3 out of 4 because, remember, they're going to have Kinsler available. They're going to have Madsen available. They're going to have Doolittle available. And those 3 have been rock solid. So to get 3 out of 4 here would be huge. It would increase your lead to 15 games. And even if you lose tomorrow, it's still a 13-game lead. Right now, the Nats have exactly 50 games to go, so it would be 13 with 49 left. I don't think anybody's really in a panic mode at all, nor should you be. Their schedule is also really favorable. After Houston, they don't play a great team again until the Dodgers in September. So we had up on the site today, I talked about Adam Lind and how he has a chance to make pinch hit history for the Nationals. He's 1 hit away from tying the all-time pinch hit record in a single season set by Tony Bautista and Darrell Ward. He's also 1 home run away from breaking the record for a Nats history for most pinch hit home runs in a season. So Lind has been everything as advertised this year for the Nats. He didn't get a chance to hit tonight, but who knows? He has a chance to get that pinch hit or that big hit in the playoffs at some point and get some history involved. Ron had more on Ryan Zimmerman's slump. He said it's time to rest him, but I believe Ron's had something else coming up on Ryan Zimmerman tomorrow morning, so you'll hear more from him. Also, we'll talk about those Players Weekend uniforms. That's something I wanted to get into. I have an article going up on that tomorrow. And I like the idea. I know a lot of people hate it. They're going to wear specific jerseys August 25th through 27th, that weekend series against the Mets, where they're going to have nicknames on the back. You got Bryce Harper with Big Kid. Sean Doolittle with Do. You got Mikey Taylor, I think is Mikey T, I think his is, but he's obviously hurt right now. But there's a Wilmer Defoe. Defoe's like El Lindo. That's a pretty cool name. Sean Kelly's backpack. There's a lot of interesting ones. You can go to nationals.com. Obviously, Murphy is Murph. Rendon is Ant, like A-N-T. I like the nicknames that they have. And I think it's a cool idea. You got to let the players be themselves for a weekend. They wear the same uniforms pretty much all year. Give them a chance to personalize it. Put their nicknames on it. I think they have a patch on one of the sleeves that they can put who helped them get to their journey of being a major leaguer. I think that's awesome. And look, for those who are the traditionalists, and I understand it, the Yankees, of course, they're having names in their jersey for the first time. This is something different. I know baseball's going to use it to sell jerseys and sell T-shirts and all that stuff, but just to have a weekend for the players, they deserve it. I know I was collectively bargained, but the Nationals can also use it to their advantage, too. Remember, they have a nationally televised game 2 of a doubleheader on August 27th. Will be on ESPN. So you'll maybe hear more of the players' backstories on the nicknames if they're that important. And I think they can take advantage of it. So I love that idea. The NBA has done that at times, as Seth says. So I like baseball embracing it. It's meant for the younger generation, but I think it's a cool idea. And I think Rob Manfred got it right on this one. So we're going to have more on those tomorrow. I think Ron has something else going up on the site. So we've got a lot going on. I'll be with you again tomorrow night for the final game of this 4-game set. We want to remind you that you can give this video a like and subscribe on YouTube. We put all of our DoDcast postgame shows there, all of our interviews that we do with beat writers or players or prospects or minor league announcers. We got everything there. So feel free to go to the DoDcast or District on Deck YouTube page and give this video a like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at District on Deck, at Rickonator555. Like us on Facebook. Just search District on Deck. Hit the like button and give us a like, and hope you have a great night too, Seth. Ron will be back Friday, I promise. I know I've been here a lot, but Ron will be back Friday night for the Giants series. Drew is going to write up the 5 to watch for that. You'll find those on Friday morning. And I'll have a couple articles up on, at least one article up on Friday. I have not decided what is that yet, but I'll tell you tomorrow what that is. And you have to stay tuned to the post game for that. So Nats get the win 10-1. A career night for Ryan Zimmerman, 4 for 4, 5 RBIs. Howie Kendrick drives in 3. Bryce Harper, a couple RBIs as well. Just a great night for the Nationals offense and another consistent night for Gio Gonzalez. So as I mentioned, he would be my Game 2 starter as of tonight in the postseason. So from all of us here at District on Deck, I'm Ricky Keeler saying, hope you have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you back here tomorrow night for the final game of this 4-game set between the Nats and the Marlins.